say on air yet?
Yeah, it's on here now.
We're on air.
Ah, yay! We kept the streak alive. 13 shows, 13 bad introductions. All right, pause for Kevin to do the things he does.
Magic.
Oh man, two of my kids said, "Is it racist that you said wicked?" And I was like, I don't think racist is the word. I think the word you're looking for is prejudice, maybe.
It's Boston. Boston equals racism, I think.
Right. I mean,
I don't think so. I mean,
people in Boston say wicked.
He is redheaded. I mean, that is considered a different race. But I was like, I'm pretty sure it's not racist. We had a really good talk about it in class. Okay, wait. We haven't done the intro yet. Hello, gamers. I hope you enjoyed episode 12 as much as I did. It was so good having the Jordan to my Luke Longley back in the saddle again. Dev, how you doing, brother?
Chilling, all things considered.
Also joining us today is the Boardwalk Games duo, Kyle. How are we feeling?
I am so excited to be here. This is great. I'm stoked. Very honored.
Awesome. And Josh, you doing good as well? I know you just got home. Thank you for coming in and joining us.
Yeah, I just got home from a long night of board gaming, so
nice.
What do I have to complain about?
That's a good night. So real quick to check, this is a storytelling show, which we like to remind people. And the second thing is the OT is all about unpreparedness because you don't know what's going to happen in overtime. So, gentlemen, have I in any way, shape, or form prepared you to be on this show today?
Not at all. I even asked who was going to be on the show, and you refused to tell me.
Yeah, that would be against the OT way. So, I mean, Dev gave me a surprise one last week, and it was literally like I went to bed happy that I had got to be a part of that conversation. And I will say I listened to my own podcast in class 4 times this week. I was like, oh, man, I forgot we said that. That was so great. But that's part of the OT. You know, we want to just let things happen. So our topic this week is about we wanted to talk about a time where we've suffered a loss and how we cope with it. And so I'll go first so you guys have time to kind of think and get your feelings lined up. And I spent a lot of time in prayer on this story because there was one that I can tell that's pretty simple. And there's one I can tell that was really hard. And the way that my kids listen to this and the conversations we have and the things that are built from it, I was like, you know what? You don't lie to them. That's one of your big things. So let's tell the hard story. My wife and I got engaged, and life was really good. I was playing football. I was playing basketball. I had a 4.0, had a great apartment, had wonderful friends. Life was better for me than it ever had been. And I get a phone call from Mama Rodriguez. Now, Mama Rodriguez and I, she let me sleep on her couch a lot when stuff was hard when I was growing up. And her son's name's Kalani. Kalani and I played on the same football team together. He went to USC. I went to OSU. We both were part of a team that made it to state. And Kalani meant the world to me. He was my best friend. And she calls me and says, Kalani's back home. I go, how in the world is Kalani home? He should be down in Southern California doing what he does. She says, Kalani has cancer. Now, this kid wouldn't party. He wouldn't smoke. He wouldn't drink. He had just left for college. He hadn't even gotten like full-time enrolled. And everything's gone. So he's home. And this is back in the 2000s, 1999-ish. So it's before like cancer became like an open talk thing. And I just remember being devastated. I'm like, how's he sick? And a couple months later, Kalani passed away. And I did not cope well. My wife and I got married a couple months later. And I didn't say a word. And I was quiet, and I was unable to like be the person that she needed me to be because of the fear, because of I had lost somebody and I did not know how to tell other people that I was hurting. And this went on for about a year. During this year, I didn't shave. I didn't cut my hair. I looked like a hippie. It was like, we're talking like down to the shoulders, big old nasty beard. And one day I was sitting there and I had my head on my wife's lap. She goes, "Are you okay?" I was like, "No, I really miss him." And she goes, "What can you do?" I was like, "I don't know." She goes, "Well, you've been growing your hair out. Why don't you do locks of love?" And I was like, "Okay, I can do that." So I shaved the beard up and got it more manageable. You know, as nice as it is now. And I grew my hair up for locks of love and donated it. And I remember that being the step of me talking to my wife about how much I was hurting about this person who, in my mind, should have never left, especially on something I didn't understand. And it took me going through the hurt and that year of not knowing how to tell people I was hurting to really get stronger in my marriage, in my faith, in my relationships, because I realized like when things are really bad, that's when you literally have to talk the most. There's an amazing poet named Rudy Francisco, and he does a series where he talks about how when you're hurting, that's when silence comes in. Like when it's so bad, when you were just at your core broken, that's when silence pops up. And after hearing his poetry and things he says, that's how I try to communicate with my kids. And so how I learned to cope with it was having conversations with people I trusted. So that's mine. Do I have anybody who wants to go first? I know this is not our normal goofing off topic. If anybody wants to go first,
I'll go if you want. I don't mind.
All right, sounds good, Josh. You sounds good, man.
Because just listening to you talk makes me think. So, it wasn't too long ago for me that I suffered a pretty huge loss. But now, for me, my job is to remember and smile. Like that's the way I deal with it. Because I'm not a religious person in my family. That's just not how we are. But the generation that is before me, my dad and my uncle were very, went to Catholic school, grew up on that. So just to give a little bit of a backstory on this before I talk about it is we live in a 3-decker in where we are in Worcester, Mass. And when I was a kid, my grandmother owned it. I now live in my grandmother's apartment, second floor. Now my folks own the building, and it's always been my folks on the first floor and me until I grew up. Us on the second floor and my aunt and uncle on the third floor. So it's always been family, family, family. Since, in fact, this whole block used to be owned by my family, like old school, like Worcester tornado, blizzard, like the blizzard stuff, all that stuff. That was all how this worked. So my uncle, who was like a second father to me, sometimes a first father, because he was like the guy that was okay with you being a bad kid. He was like, I'll bail you out, I'll pay your, excise tax, your warrants, all this kind of stuff. He's that guy. And he's like, this is the guy, he was like, don't tell anyone, but pay it forward. He's like, I did this for you. Now you do this for your cousin, his son, or his sons, depending on the situation, or for your aunt or your mom, whatever. And he said, don't tell anybody about it ever. Just do something nice for family. That was him. This is the guy who got me into video games. He used to work what we call pins and needles or coin op. He used to service arcade games. So my whole childhood would be going to his work and playing free arcade games every weekend. It was awesome. Wayne Gretzky 3D hockey in the arcade. Like, things that were incredible. He married my wife and I. He found out we didn't have justice of the peace. He went and he got his certification and he married us. And then he married my brother the next year. Last year, 2016, it's weird. So not 2017 because that was last year. So 2016, he passed 2 weeks before Thanksgiving. And we were all there when he passed. He was in a medically induced coma, and he was the first person I ever saw die. And it was weird because my dad, he didn't cry at my grandmother at his mother's funeral because he's always felt the need to be the man in the family, which is a tough job to have if you go by that generation's standards of a man in the family. So to go through that loss so close to for us is any holiday, Easter, Thanksgiving, Christmas. Those are the big holidays for us because you see everyone. To go through that so close to Thanksgiving was tough in its own aspect. To be the next oldest in the family and to be given his seat at Thanksgiving was the toughest thing I've ever had to do.
Yeah.
Because I felt that I didn't earn it. I didn't deserve it, you know? So we have these two figureheads, my dad at the head of the table, my uncle at the other end of the table. And you would just sit and you just listen to them tell stories about what it was like. Fill in the blank. It doesn't matter what they were talking about because you would just enter a time machine. It was so bizarre. And to have to fill in that spot and now bringing my own son into our own family things too, it was, there aren't words to explain it. My aunt gave me my wife and I a note when my son was born, and she said, I know you're sad because he was more excited when we told him we were having a kid than my parents were. We went upstairs, we went up to see him. He lost his mind. He was ecstatic. He was over the moon. He was so happy. Another Italian in the line, all these things. And he told us so many stories. And we get a note from my aunt, and she's like, I know you guys miss him, but he's there. He's your son's guardian angel. And we still have that. And we'll always have that. And I can't wait to tell my son stories about his great uncle he'll never meet. But this is the guy who's outside shoveling snow with me when he has no right to be. And this is the guy who took care of everyone. I can't even tell you the amount of people I met at his funeral that, you don't understand the aspect of someone's life until, unfortunately, everyone's reflecting on it. And it's devastatingly beautiful, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. Like you have these two emotions hitting you at the same time, and I'll never forget it. And it's so weird to be talking about it because I think about him every day. So it always seems coincidental, even though it's not. If that makes sense? Yeah. So I say it's weird to be thinking about him, but it's not really because I'm always thinking about him and talking about him. But people asked me today, I told them I was going to be in a podcast as we were leaving, and they, what's it about? I was like, I don't know, but it's not necessarily about video games. It's about people, so I have so many people looking forward to listening, and everyone I talked to tonight knew my uncle, and I guarantee you that this is such a relatable topic that I'm glad you brought it up, and I'm glad I can talk about him because the more I can tell people about him, the better I feel about it. Mm. And that's kind of how I deal with that loss, if that makes sense.
Yeah, celebration. That's
because I drink my beer.
That's powerful.
Absolutely.
Again, I don't feel comfortable just throwing people out there. So whoever wants to go on this one.
I can go so that our host can bookend this.
Okay.
So for me, I think there's a little bit of background that's important. Similar to Josh, actually, I did not grow up in a family of faith or religion. That was not something that was part of my upbringing. My parents are always open to it. They're like, if you want to go to church, go to church. That's fine. They just never went. So for them, it was very much a thing of like, if you want to go, you can go. So when I was a kid, I went with friends and I did all these things, but I never found anything that really clicked with me. Fast forward, I'm in college. This would have been the fall of 2001. I was, in college doing my thing. And, in addition to my father, who I'm lucky and very thankful is still with us, the other person who's always been the biggest influence and still to this day is the biggest influence in my life is my grandfather on my mom's side. I never had the chance to know my dad's parents. They one died before I was born and one died when I was very, very young. But so my mom's parents, were always the grandparents that we would spend time with. And I would go every summer. We had moved down to the Twin Cities and they still lived up on the Iron Range in Minnesota. And I would go spend, 3 months with them every summer. And so I was very, very close to my grandfather. And, he was getting up there in age and things weren't going well. But when I was in college, I got a call from my mom. And my mom, I still have that old school relationship with my mom because I'm old. Like, we talk, but we talk maybe once every 2 or 3 weeks. Like, we don't talk every day or all the time. And it's just kind of the way our relationship was because when I was going to college, you had to have a phone in your room. You had to call long distance, I'm old. Cell phones weren't really much of a thing then,
Was it a spinning dial?
Exactly. Not quite that bad.
There was a payphone in the hallway.
Those 900 megahertz cordless phones.
Exactly. That's right. So that way you could carry it to the room next door in case your phone rang. But yeah, so she called and she's like, hey, you need to go up north. You need to get up there. Things have taken a turn for the worse. And my grandfather had been in and out of the hospital, so I used to getting these calls, but she's like, no, you need to go. So I kind of just dropped everything and I went and picked up my sister and we drove. And I knew it had to be bad for my mom to be like, no, you need to go now. And when we got there, it was probably 9, 10 o'clock at night when we actually finally got to the hospital. It was about a 4-hour drive. My whole family was there on my mom's side. And okay. My mom's whole family was there. And, we get in and they're like, okay, go, there's some seats right here. Have a seat. So I sat there and my grandpa was still alive. And I took his hand. I didn't realize this was going to be so hard. And I just told him, I'm like, it's okay. We're all here together. It's okay. And it was about 2 minutes later that he passed away. And the fact that I got the call and my mom was like, you need to do this. And I went, I was really thankful for that. I didn't hesitate. There was no hey, maybe it'll be fine. Can I go in the morning? I just went. And that was hard in and of itself. That was really tough. The almost hardest part of that though, was I then had to drive my grandmother back to her house. Mm. So here's my grandma sitting in the passenger side car out of the car next to me, who has been married to this man for over 50 years. They have been each other's everything. And now he's just not there anymore. And now I have to bring her back to the house that he built for her, that they have lived in their entire lives together, and go bring her home to what is no longer her home. So I drive my grandma home, which was even more hard. It was more difficult than my grandpa passing away because she's beside herself, just sobbing and just hurting so bad. And, I take her home and we bring her inside and she just I go and she lays down in her bed and she's just sobbing. She falls asleep, crying. And I'm like, okay, well, this has been a pretty crap day. I just need some time to myself. Now, the beautiful part about where my grandparents lived is they lived in northern Minnesota on a lake in the middle of nowhere. So when you go out at night, it is pitch black. There is, and I always have to preface this when I tell the story because people think I'm trying to do something bad and I'm not. So it is totally blackout. There are no, they have neighbors, but they're a really long way away. The road was paved within the last 3 or 4 years. It had always been gravel before. So I was like, I just need some time. It's a crisp fall night. So I walk outside and I just go and I sit in the middle of the road. I don't know why I did that. I have no idea what made me do that, but it's not like there was a threat of traffic or anything like that. And I would have seen them coming miles away had there been. But I sat in the middle of the road and I looked up because they lived in a very, very forested area. There was a lot of trees on their property. And I looked up and that is the first time in my life I ever remember seeing the Aurora Borealis.
Oh.
And for me, as someone who had never grown up with faith or religion, that was the moment that I said, you know what? I might not believe in that, but I do believe there's something bigger than me out there. Like, and that for me has carried through since that moment of like, okay, you know, I have more perspective than I ever have before, that I have more respect for my place in this world and my place in this universe. And I have more understanding of how important it is from a universal aspect of, you know, a lot of people, if I told you what my grandfather did, would think that he maybe lived a pretty unspectacular life. You know, he worked, you know, in the mines and brought home a paycheck and raised 6 great kids, you know, but he was never on television. He was never, you know, a celebrity or a statesperson of any kind. But, you know, I think his family is pretty dang great. And I think that the impact that people have these days, I think, is far greater than we perceive the impact that we have on one another to be. And for me, that's just a moment that's always really, really sat with me and really, you know, I've held close to my heart. And when I get through those rough spots, or when I feel a loss, or when have had other situations where I'm like, man, things aren't going my way, or I've lost someone else, I think back to that moment. And I'm like, okay, you know, here's a little perspective. Yes, this stinks now, but let's remember all the impact that they've had, the good, the bad. Let's look at the perspective of everything. And it's always been something that for me, I've held very close to my heart, and I still miss him. And, you know, similar to Josh, I think about my grandpa every day. I have a few of his things, including his cane, which sits next to my bed, and it's there with me every day. It's one of the last things I look at and the first thing I look at every morning. And, you know, I just carry those thoughts of him with me. And yeah, I mean, I'll be honest, this is one that I thought I was going to talk about tonight, but I'm really appreciative for the opportunity too.
Awesome. So this is exactly why we have the OT. It gives you a glimpse into us as people, you know, besides just the video games and all the other shenanigans that we're into. You get a little bit more insight into each of us as individuals. And I think that's why Mo started this show, and that's why I think I love it so much, is because it's more than just, you know, our hobbies. It gives you just insight into who we are and some of the things we think about and some of the things we deal with. So thank you guys both for sharing that. And Mo too. So
remember, I'm Luke Longley, so I don't actually get to go on the stage, but I was part of it.
Oh man. So as all three of you know, my mother-in-law passed away a few days ago. It's been a really interesting time. She's been battling cancer for the last 3, maybe 4 months. She was diagnosed, and we thought it had gone away. Like, they thought they got it all. And remember the doctor telling her, you know, we want to do this like chemo round just to try to make sure it doesn't come back. Because if it comes back, it's not coming back to play around. It's coming back and it will take you out. So she went back and forth and almost didn't do the chemo, but she did it, and we thought everything was good, and then it came back with the vengeance. She ended up going into the hospital because she had a stomach ache and found out that she actually had cancer in her colon that had ruptured her colon. So after that, you know, she was basically just like a shell of her former self. You know, you could see it really progressing. She was here with us in hospice care for a little while. And then she went down to LA just to go visit a few friends on one of the times when she was feeling a lot better. And then that was it. Like, she just ended up having more bad like stomach pains and ended up going to the hospital and never left. So the last couple of months, I mean, throughout Thanksgiving, throughout Christmas, like, it just been really rough. Every holiday was just weird because we weren't together as a family the way we normally would be. And my wife was constantly going down to LA because she was at Cedars, my mother-in-law. So she was constantly going between LA and Bakersfield, which is about a 2-hour drive. So that had, you know, been really, really tough. So I've been like holding down the fort with the kids. In fact, I'm home right now while my wife is in LA. And that's been kind of like our norm for the last 2-3 months. It's been really, really difficult. But just like listening to you guys talk about the impact of your grandfather and your uncle, and how they had that, like, it's crazy how you see that once they have passed or they're transitioning, you get to see the impact that people that they actually have on all these people you don't even realize. Like her church had a Kim Davis Day, and the amount of outpouring and people that came to the church just to be there, to see her, to wish her well, to pray for her, it was just crazy. The stories that people told, just the outpouring of love. Like, we had no idea that she had impacted so much and how she had meant so much to her church. So being able to see that and witness that, it just gives you a little bit more insight into, how much she really did, even though, you'd never hear about it. Like you said, she's not a celebrity. She wasn't on TV, none of that. But just the impact she had on just every day and just the people was actually really, really incredible. And as far as like coping with it, like this is how I'm coping with it. Just got to talk about it, like get it out in the open, talk to people, not, curl up into a ball. Like my wife is really having a tough time. She's like, the mornings and going to bed at night are like the two most difficult times, because that's when you have the most silence, and you end up thinking about, I'm never going to see my mother again, and that kind of stuff. Just it if you let it sit there and gnaw at you, it's going to just take you out. So trying to just make sure that she talks about it. Like right now, she has a couple of friends that flew in from Houston and from New York, like her girls, like those are her sisters. So they're actually there with her right now. So that gives me some bit of comfort since I'm here. I was actually going to go down there, but the Grapevine area, which you have to go through to get to LA, actually, it gets cold enough to snow there. So they closed that down.
Oh,
It's too cold for you.
Yeah, they shut it down because there's just so many accidents happen there, because this is Southern California. It doesn't snow. We don't know what the hell to do with snow. What are we supposed to do? So they shut it down. So like, I couldn't even get out there, and she couldn't even come home if she wanted to because of the snow, which is crazy. But it's just a roller coaster of emotions. I mean, I'm so busy with the kids and trying to, do funeral arrangements and stuff like that. It's like we don't even have time really to think about it. And I know that this year is going to be probably the hardest year for us as a family, because every holiday, every little, Valentine's Day, because for my wife, that was her mom and her dad. Like, she didn't have her dad in her life. So she would always make sure that every holiday she got her stuff. So she got her stuff for Valentine's Day. She would get her stuff for Father's Day, Mother's Day. So I know that every time one of those holidays happens, or every time there's a moment, it's going to be, my mom's not here. Kim isn't with us. My mother-in-law's not here. So I know that's going to be really, really difficult, this year. So the way we're going to have to just cope is just, to talk about it and put it out there in the open. And right now it's just so raw. Like, I can't even fathom the fact that, like, she's just not here, Yeah. It's like, how do you she's always here and now she's just not.
Did you guys do like the wake after the funeral?
We haven't done the funeral yet.
Oh,
like we're
okay.
at Saturday. So I think I don't know if we're gonna do like the wake. I know they're gonna have a service at the church, but I'm not sure all the plans with that yet.
I should have said wake before funeral, but I just wanted to mention, at least for how my family, and I think most people, the weeks before the funeral, but after a funeral, they do like a dinner or whatever. For me, because I'm not good at funerals or wakes for that matter, and having to go through I've been to a bunch, but to go into my uncle's, I have to be in the line of strangers that you don't know.
Yeah.
And then the funeral's the same way. But for me, if you can find the right balance between humor and misery, and I know that sounds like morbid, if you can find that line and make people comfortable even if it is at your expense. When my uncle passed, his son, my cousin, he printed out these pictures. They were little tiny, like wallet-sized pictures. It was my uncle doing this, and it said at the bottom, "Thanks for coming." And he handed them out at the funeral. I have it on my fridge right now, but it was so you have all these people in misery and crying, and it was open. It was an open casket funeral, wake and funeral, and he's handing these out to people at the end and beginning of the line. He gave us all these things. If you don't see someone with this, hand them out. If you can find the right balance, I feel like, and it obviously depends on the person. If the person maybe was a more serious person in their life, it might not be super appropriate. But if you can kind of find that in between where you can remember someone for all the great things they've done, it kind of takes that sting away, if that makes sense.
Right. Absolutely. 100% agree with that. It's going to be interesting because I know my biggest thing with the funeral and everything else is going to be shielding my wife from like the people constantly want to talk to her and ask her how she's doing. Like, don't ask that. You know how she's doing. She's not okay. There's no need to ask. Like, are you okay? How are you doing? No. So don't ask. Like, you don't need to ask that. Just come talk. Like, talk about how, my mom impacted you or something like that. Give me a story, but don't ask how I'm doing. I hate that because I'm not doing
like common sense. Like, doesn't that seem like something bad happened? Oh, hey, how are you doing? Something bad just happened.
Yeah. Guess. What about a sign that you can hang and says, "No, I'm not okay."
I know, right?
What was that song that band used to sing? It was one of those bands that like I couldn't stand them because they were super whiny.
Oh, yeah, I'm not okay. It's in the lyrics. It's My Chemical Romance.
Yeah, I don't like that kind of stuff. Like,
and I hate to bring it down, but it was a song about cancer.
Oh man, now I gotta like the song.
So I'm just gonna say it's a great song if you hear it. It's a great song.
What was it? Romance?
Yeah.
Chemical Romance. Yeah, I think the song's called Cancer. No, I'm not even kidding. Man, he says, "I'm not okay." He screams it.
Cancer is the worst.
It's the worst.
I'm not a fan.
The worst.
And it's so common.
I was about to say, if it was a video game, it'd be Legends of Zelda.
Man, Donnie is gonna end bored with video games and the OT because of our comments about Zelda.
I know.
He won't end your guys' shows, just mine.
Oh no, we've made comments.
No. I'm not agreeing with that.
Donnie, I didn't say yes. Mo made the joke. I didn't know what to do. It was an awkward laugh. I promise, Donnie.
Man.
The thing is, I actually played that game for like 3 hours in the last couple of days because I haven't anything else to do. It was just a joke, folks. It's not actually that was all joking. That was not serious.
That was a good one. That was a good one.
Thank you. I appreciate it. See, I knew Dev had my back. Let's get into our questions. I only grabbed a couple. We probably need more. Oh, Donnie. Actually, one of these is directed about him, so let's just skip to that one.
Oh, boy.
Oh, awesome.
Okay. So this actually came. So we had freezing rain and a lot of rain, and we were actually in our softball unit the last couple of weeks. And so we're teaching softball. Well, it's really hard to teach softball outside when the field's all wet and nasty. So what I do is I have these backup PowerPoints. And so for a couple of my classes, we did it. And one of them we were doing, it involved sports business management, how to license yourself, how to protect yourself as an athlete with money, And one of our kids, she's our most loyalist of listeners. I think I actually posted a picture in the chat of her and her group working on one of these. Her name is Shy.
Yeah, I was gonna say is it Shy.
We knew it was Shy.
Her question is, it was like, so let's say that all of our shows were getting lots and lots of views and people were commenting and we were getting to the point where I know where someone approaches Donnie to buy the company as long as we came with. Her question is, what company would you want it to be? Kyle.
Oh, if does Josh already have an answer?
No, I don't.
Oh. Okay. So since we do board with video games, I'm going to go ahead and go on the board game train with this one, and I'm going to say Asmodee. Because if you're not familiar with board games, which I know you guys,
I was like, I have no idea who that is. I was like, there's a board game holiday. Hey, it's Asmodee.
There's a board game company named Asmodee who basically in the last like 3 years or so has been buying up like all of the other like smaller board game but a lot of the other board game publishers. So like the joke each year is like, hey, what's Asmodee going to buy this year? Maybe it's going to be PSVG. That's what I'm going to go with.
Josh?
Oh boy. So the question was, could Donnie buy any company? Is that the question?
No. So Donnie is approached by another company to buy a PSVG, but only if you come with.
Okay. So kids, board games aren't just Monopoly and Sorry in life. I just want to put this out there now. So
See, Asmodee was a good pick, wasn't it, Josh?
it was a great pick.
Yeah.
It really was. If I could pat you on the back, I would reach to this camera and do it for you, but I can't. I mean, we're people who have people who listen to us. I can't say Asmodee because people are gonna go, who? No, it's only. I mean, Disney. Come on, people. Disney, Marvel Entertainment. So many pictures. You could name 100 companies. Those are the answers.
All right.
I think it's Asmodee.
Video games too. It's not Asmodee. I'm sorry.
Asmodee makes digital games on the phone. Come on.
Yeah, that's great. I'm sure they make hundreds of dollars.
Hey, then we could make it tens of hundreds of dollars. It'd be great.
We do this for free.
It's true.
This cost me money.
Yeah.
All right, Dev, who do you want to buy us? Who's buying the
probably gonna
OT
go with
license?
Amazon.
Oh yeah.
Just because they got deep pockets and a lot of reach.
Yeah.
And they bought Twitch, so we could be on Twitch on the front page.
And they're coming to Boston.
Are they?
Oh, they're coming. We're in the top
All right.
20 cities. They're coming.
This is true.
For me, we are bought by a subsidiary of Disney. ESPN comes to Donnie and says, "We want the OT. We want to bring some of that Stuart Scott down home, people who are honest with integrity, love to our TV station again. And we think that your duo, your team over at PSVG is perfect for it." So that ESPN comes down and says, "We want more OT." All right. That's mine. That's mine. All right.
Stuart Scott, rest in peace.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
We're not down enough.
You just hit me like, oh yeah, Stuart, man.
I can make more Zelda jokes.
Please do.
Well, if you're talking about Stuart Scott, cancer's rearing its ugly head again. We don't need that.
I was gonna make a joke about the swords and weapons only lasting 2 hits, but I wasn't ready to make that joke. All right.
You just made it.
Oh, awkward. So our next question comes from Kevin, and he wants to know if you could create a mini episode for any of your favorite games, what would you create? And so you guys have a little time to think. I actually already have mine, so I'll toss it out there. My mini episode would be an Overwatch one where Diva walks into the lab, she jumps out of her mech, and she leaves. And then romantic music starts playing. And you see a little candle fly across the screen. Who's carrying it? You can't tell. It's a little bird. And in comes Bastion in a silk Hugh Hefner robe. And you just hear the music, and he just like, ooh, girl, beep, bop, beep, bop, beep. And the mech just stands there in its glory. Fade to black.
I don't even know what to think about that.
I don't even know how to go after that. Like, how do you?
What?
I think that he just made fan fiction like Twilight.
Oh wow!
Is that what we're supposed to do? Are we making fan fiction?
No, it's just like he just wanted to know, like, hey, what would be like a mini video you would make? And I was like, well, you guys know how much I love Overwatch. So what if Diva's mech and Bastion fell in love?
I got one. I'm gonna ride Coach's coattails.
Okay.
Ready? Aloy. She's in Horizon Zero Dawn world, and she's looking at all these picturesque videos of old Colorado, and all of a sudden, a time machine pops up with Rick and Morty inside, and they throw Lara Croft out. And now it's Lara Croft and Aloy, and they're doing all the things Coach just said about the other two people from Overwatch. The end.
Oh man. What? I don't know what to say.
Oh god.
If we're doing fanfic, that's what I do. Lara Croft and Aloy.
Fall in love. Is it weird that they're almost the exact same character? I didn't realize
that's why I like it.
I don't even know what to say.
I'll keep going if you need more time. You have to censor it.
G-bus.
Kyle, what do you got for us, man?
Okay, so this is going to be really sad though because some of my sad because some of my thunder was stolen by Josh just now. So in mine, it would be a video of Nathan Drake going through and raiding a tomb, and then as he's about to escape with the treasure, you hear a voice from behind be like, "What are you doing here?" And he turns around, and it's Lara Croft.
And then they do it.
No, they don't.
My students listen to this.
He's married.
No,
he's married.
He has a wife and kid.
But I thought it would be really. I've always thought it'd be really cool to either have like them buddy up as like a team cop thing, or where they were competing against each other to.
Oh, that would be dope.
You know, go for a treasure or something like that. I thought that would be sweet.
Yeah, I support that.
The team cop thing, I definitely would get behind that. That's awesome. Yeah.
Am I crazy that didn't Coach paint a picture of a more adult relationship?
Yeah,
mine is a
romance.
No,
romance.
Mine is a robot romancing an inanimate object that's not alive.
And see, when I think about that, I think about Aqua Teen Hunger Force and the humping robot. So you just, it doesn't even matter.
Bastion wouldn't do that. He's a classy guy.
Wouldn't he? Wouldn't he though?
The Bastion mains might.
He would go into turret mode.
Bastion wouldn't.
He would go into turret mode and get down. Let's just be real.
Bastion.
I don't even know what to
do. A problem.
Man. So a little video, huh? From some.
You're thinking Destiny, aren't you? You're like Cade.
I mean, it's Cade and the chicken, man.
Oh my goodness! Like a little adventure story of those two going out and doing stuff,
man. Absolutely.
The Colonel.
Cade and the Colonel, they're going on an adventure.
I still call that teacher that, by the way.
As you should.
Oh man, that was a good time. All right.
Oh wow.
So our next question, this student didn't write their name down, or at least I couldn't read it, and all it said favorite sweat, but I believe what was trying to be written was favorite sweet. So I'm not saying I'm gonna make fun of you on Monday when I find out who you were, but I'm gonna make fun of you on Monday when I find out who you are. So Kyle, your favorite sweet?
Oh, without a question, Reese's peanut butter cups.
Okay.
You can tell by our intros on both of the video games.
Yes, you can. Yes, you can.
Josh, how about yours?
Mine's a little weird. It's frozen grapes.
No, those are delicious.
My daughter loves those.
Hey, I'm not a child.
I'm a grown man.
I don't know. Based off of your fanfic.
Oh, Dev, favorite sweet, man.
Mine is a toss-up between peanut butter M&Ms, which are amazing, and red licorice.
Oh,
love me some red
vines.
Not red vines. It's got to be like some, frou-frou brand. Like Trader Joe's has these red vines that are amazing, or red licorice that are amazing. Red vines, they're all right.
They'll do. I like the only Twizzler that I actually like anymore is the one you peel. You know what I'm talking about? That's the only one I like the taste of anymore.
Actual Twizzlers?
Mm-hmm. Actual Twizzlers.
It tastes like plastic to me. I can't get down with them.
when you were little, you were all about it, but like now you're like, my palate is too refined for normal Twizzlers.
We had a
I need to be able to
conversation
peel it.
tonight when I was in college. My apartment, my little house was next to a convenience store out here called Cumberland Farms. I don't know if people know what it is, but I would go and get a gallon of green drink, and I would get the sour straws, and I would pour a full glass, and I put a sour straw in, and I would drink the green drink out, then eat the sour straw, and then repeat and play Mortal Kombat Gold on my Sega Dreamcast.
Sounds like a great night.
It does.
Yeah,
That does.
Awesome.
Man.
Maybe purple drink for me.
Oh, mine would be strawberry. I love a good strawberry soda.
See, Coach toned it down. He toned it down.
Sorry, I started thinking about it's so hard to find a good strawberry soda in Texas. Like these people are weird when it comes to drink. You can find Fanta. I'm sorry, that's not a good strawberry soda.
Unless you're in
Illinois has them all over.
If you're in South America, though, Fanta's incredible.
I've never gone that far south yet, so
Real
I'll
sugar.
take your word for it.
Yeah.
So I really love pie, but like berry pie and like apple pie, like fruit ones. If I can't have that, any kind of shortbread, like just the really, when they do the holiday tins, the really crunchy ones.
Yeah,
I love that stuff. Give me those all day. Those are delicious. So
funny story, Coach Mo.
Yeah,
I made an apple pie tonight. It's sitting on my counter. I'm getting ready to go destroy it.
I'm really jealous and proud of you at the same time.
Are you pro cheddar cheese or anti cheddar cheese on your apple pies?
Gross. No cheese.
What?
Okay. No, here's the thing.
What?
Depending on, are you talking about a nice sharp cheddar, right?
Oh yeah, well of course, yes.
Yeah,
no cheese. No cheese on pies.
Guys, here's the thing. When it's warm and fresh, like it does a flavor combo that's like when fancy people do like wine with cheese and fruits on the crackers, you know what I'm talking? It's the same palate. It is delicious.
Yeah, it is delicious.
However,
On a warm pie, absolutely correct.
I can't
I'm not
reheat
gonna
it.
knock
Though.
it. I'm not gonna
reheat it.
No, knock it. That's
But I'm
disgusting.
not gonna try it.
Knock
I'm
it.
not trying that tonight.
Yeah, don't try it tonight. It has to be done properly. Like it's a whole thing. Okay. All right. The next one was Kyle wants to know is that Kyle Gold.
That's Kyle.
Okay, I was like, I don't remember asking.
No, sorry.
That's Kyle.
I just realized that Kyle G, the kid who asked the question.
That's Kyle. No, that's Kyle H.
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't want to say his last name because I
So
didn't know what
close.
the rules were on saying the full name.
No, that's cool.
But-
That's cool.
I think what he's trying to say when I typed this up the other day, I think he wants to know what our favorite TV show is and why.
Oh.
But it's a little weird worded, so I'm just going to go with that. What is your favorite TV show and why? Kyle H, not Kyle G.
Man, why do I always have to go first on these?
It just kind of happens.
I know. Are we going favorite of all time or current favorite?
That's where he gets weird. Let's just do current. Like, what are you watching now?
I'm not really watching anything right now.
Ah, boo.
So here's what I'll do then. I will go favorite of all time.
Okay.
Because I'm not really, nothing is coming to mind that's really great that I'm watching currently. So this will be controversial. The show I'm picking, and maybe your students shouldn't watch it yet, is I'm picking the show Dexter. And here's the reason why. Dexter has some of the best seasons of television ever, along with a couple really bad ones.
The worst.
Like it kind of is. It is an absolute roller coaster ride. Like there are seasons.
It has the highest highs and the lowest
lows. Like
Lowest.
it gives you a little bit of everything when you watch that show. So that's one of the reasons I like it so much. Like if the show is always great, I feel like you're just kind of like, well, the show is always great. But when sometimes it's really bad, you're like, oh man, maybe it'll get good again. And then it does, and you're so excited about it. So I'm going to pick Dexter.
All right, Josh, how about you?
Well, I mean, if we're doing all time, it's Lost or Breaking Bad. But Dexter's pretty good, except for season 3, which is the worst season of television ever written.
It's not good. It's not good.
But I digress. Stranger Things season 2, phenomenal. Black Mirror season 4, phenomenal. My favorite TV show, that I can watch though every day, all day, is Community, and a lot of people kind of slept on that. You can watch it on Hulu every season. They even did a season on Yahoo, which is now on Hulu. Community, check it out. Joel McHale, Allison Brie, who was in Glow, Chevy Chase, who you know, Donald Glover, the childish Gambino himself, Danny Putty, Gillian Jacobs, all these incredible actors. Check it out. Community.
I knew 3 or 4 of those names. I felt
There's
really
more.
dumb.
I just stopped because I figured I'd be ruining time.
Dev, how about you, babe?
Community did a G.I. Joe episode, right?
Yeah, they did, and 2 D&D
Yes.
episodes.
Yes, Community was awesome. All right, but my favorite show of all time, hands down, The Wire. I watch it once a year, every single season.
I want to change my vote. I totally forgot. I totally want to change my vote to The Wire too.
Now you said Dexter season 3. I heard you.
Okay.
The Wire is it's fantastic television. The writing, the way they capture the time period of what's going on, how they capture everything that's going on all across the city of Baltimore and how it all ties together. God, I love it. And like I said, I watch every single season, every single episode at least once a year because it's just that good.
I also haven't seen that one either. I'll add it to my list. I'll these to my list. Well, again, remember, I don't watch a lot of TV.
Right.
I don't watch a lot either.
One of the coaches who I work with, who listens to this, and he's one of my assistant coaches. He's actually responsible for my favorite TV show. So this last summer, we were doing summer school, and I think I sent a couple pictures to you guys. So I was paid to sit in our, I think, second or third library with my feet, with my feet up, resting and reading. And I just read, and kids either came in and hung out and read with me, or they didn't. And life was good. I was getting paid. And we're sitting there goofing off and telling jokes, and he's watching some show called Rick and Morty.
Yeah.
And he's like, "It's hilarious, coach. You got to watch this." And I go, "I'm not really into cartoons. Like, no thanks, man. Like, it's not for me." Like, again, I did not grow up watching TV, guys. Like, so like when most people had like that, "Oh, I love watching TV," I get really bored and fall asleep really quickly. Okay, so it's not like I don't like TV. It's just I have to like really focus in to stay with it. And so I went, and he was like, "Just watch one, coach." I'm like, "All right." So that night I went home and I watched one. And I was like, "That was the stupidest thing I have ever seen in my life. You are an idiot. I'm going to fire you. You can't coach with me anymore. What is wrong with you?" And you know how like when it starts on Hulu and then it kind of keeps going?
Yeah.
And it jumped into the second one. And there were a couple lines in the introduction of the second one that had me rolling. The next day I'd watched all of season 1 and 2, and it started season 3.
Yeah, nice.
And now, like, I do own a Pickle Rick t-shirt that I wear with pride on weightlifting days, and my kids and I, like, we joke about it, but I'm like, it's the humor like fits me. Like, there's a point in time when he goes, "You know what? No, this has been coming for a long time," and he does the mathematical equation to prove to the kids like how little he cares. And I was dying. I was like, "That's genius." Oh. And so that right now is probably my favorite show. Like I will watch it and just die laughing.
Have you seen Futurama and or Bob's Burgers?
I have not.
You got to add those. Futurama, classic.
Oh, we have to school you on cartoons. You are missing out.
So I don't remember.
Futurama's smart.
Someone, I was tagged in one of the things on Discord, and they were talking about something with like guns in it, and they were like going back and forth in all caps, going, "Well, this gun is the best, and this one's the best." And finally, like I reached out to one of them. I go, "What is that?" And he goes, "Oh, it's an anime." I go,
Yeah.
"Okay, it's not for me. Thank you." That's why I didn't get the jokes. But I was like, I don't understand what you people are talking about.
Yeah. Well, you get American shows and anime are totally different. Anime totally goes for that over the top kind of aspect, but
was it Gundam?
Gundam, yeah.
I just looked at my phone, and that
He's
was
gonna hear this. He's gonna lose his mind.
I was like, I don't know what you guys are talking about.
Yeah,
it's all right though. It's just what it is. So our next question, and this will be our last one as we're getting close to that hour mark. This comes from Maddie, and Maddie wants to know And this kind of was tied into what Kyle was trying to ask, but I think it's a little better. If you could be in a movie, what movie, like franchise, would you be in, and what kind of character would you play?
Ooh.
Josh.
All right, so I've always been a Western fan, forever. And I can't tell you why. I don't have a good reason for you why, but there's a movie called Last Man Standing. It's with Bruce Willis and Christopher Walken, and it's about, Bruce Willis plays Bruce Willis in every movie he's in. And he comes into this town in the Old West that is just run with the mafia, but he's like a hired hitman. So he walks in, and the Italians are on one side, and to keep out racial slurs, the non-Italians on the other side. But he doesn't care. He doesn't give a crap about who's on whose side. He's just like a hitman who's just a total badass. So I would love to live, even Westworld would be a good example of that. But like that movie specifically, Last Man Standing, one of my favorite movies of all time. I would love to be in that universe, that atmosphere. And I would be Borboni is my last name, so I'd be in the Italians. I'll be in their side. But Michael Imperioli from Sopranos, he's like one of the leaders of the Italian house. But he's a total nitwit. And that's what an Italian would say. So I fit right into that. So I would be in that like era, like people developing, building up, living in that Wild West atmosphere. That's like, I think I missed my calling. I live in a city, and when I went to college, I lived on the Cape, which was basically the Wild West because no one lives there. So, and I loved it. You could hear the crickets chirping at night. That's what I love. A little solitude, a little time to, now I don't want to spend time with my thoughts because I got a wife and a kid that are waiting for me at home. But when it was much simpler, and I could just sit at home and have a pasta plate and some bread. That's what I want.
Kyle, how about you?
Really quick, another cartoon that's excellent that you might want to watch is Troll Hunters on Netflix.
Yes.
It is very good.
It is.
I highly recommend
Guillermo del Toro. Very good.
But if I'm going to go live in a movie world, this was not originally a movie world, but it's the only way I've really consumed the media, so I'm counting it. I'm going back to school, and I'm going to Hogwarts, and it is going to be phenomenal, and I'm going to learn magic spells, and I'm going to fight bad dudes. It's going to be great. That's what I'm doing.
Sounds good. I support your decision.
He's gonna fight bad dudes.
I remember playing that in the arcade. It was great.
Awesome game.
All right. Dev, how about you, man?
I'm really torn. I kind of want to live in the Matrix and just be Neo.
Oh,
but then I also just want to be an Afro Samurai and call it a day.
Oh, Afro Samurai is so good.
Yeah, I mean, I love Japanese culture. I love anything that has to deal with samurais, ninjas, all of that. I'm all about it. So
you don't say that, Ninja Dev.
Exactly. So yeah, I'm probably just gonna go ahead and be an Afro Samurai and come after that #1 headband and call it a day.
You got to make sure you're not one of those shop owners who just walk in and eat sushi and leave. You gotta
absolutely not.
You got to pick your role.
Absolutely not. I'm gonna be somebody coming for that #1 headband.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, what a great pick.
I don't know what that means, but I support your decisions. So for me, and this is where I'm probably gonna get the most heat from students, from faculty members, from fans. I would be in the Star Wars universe.
Yeah, good choice.
But I would be the first real bad guy. Like, I'm sorry, like the Emperor guy, like he seemed bad, but he was still trying to get everybody under a common banner on his side. So like it wasn't like he was like the worst of the worst. Like
you'd be Watto?
We never saw like the worst things. You know what I mean? And then the last guy. Who was the last guy? the one who got killed, or spoilers, the one who's not alive anymore.
Wow.
Are you talking about Snoke?
Oh yeah, that guy. He wasn't even that bad of a dude. Like again, because it all felt like he's still, we've got
We
our
don't know
army.
how bad he really was.
I don't, because I'm in the universe. But like, I would be the first actual villain who would be like, no. We're done playing this game. I'm gonna just blow up planets until all the rebels finally surrender. Like, I would be the first bad dude.
So the Emperor.
But it would be the way like where you would actually hate them. I would be what like I tweeted this the other day. I had to stop watching Jessica Jones. I'm doing that, trying to get all the MCU digested before Black Panther. I had to stop after 2 episodes of Jessica Jones because I forgot how much I hate Kilgrave.
Oh, he's so good though.
But he is so horrible of a person.
Oh yeah,
and
for
so,
sure.
And so I would love to be the character who brings that emotion for people in Star Wars. Like, not so, some people are like, oh, Palpatine's got the cool lightning hands. No, it's like, everybody hates him. Like, nobody likes that guy. I would love to be that character. Nobody ever goes, oh, well, Kilgrave misunderstood. No, Kilgrave was a monster.
Right.
I'm glad he's dead. Okay.
Yeah.
I would love to be that in the Star Wars universe, and instead of being like the token bad guy you know is not going to last more than a movie. Sorry, Darth Maul. Rest in peace.
It's no same fate. You just told us you're Watto. You're a flying bug who has child slave labor, who was never caught.
Who's Watto? The guy with the Anakin in the original movie.
Yeah, he was a giant flying mosquito who had child slave labor and never got arrested. He lived the rest of his life enslaving children.
I want to be worse than
you. You're a Watto.
So basically what you're saying is you want to have the Death Star and use it without telling people you're going to do it. You want to be a bad guy who doesn't talk and just kills things.
Just is bad.
Like you said, an actual bad guy. I get so tired of bad guys who just talk and talk and talk. Man, just blow the thing up. Just shut up and press the button.
That's what I'm talking about. See, I want to be for the Star Wars universe. I would like to be the bad guy that we're like, oh man, we need help. That's a really bad person. With Darth Vader, they were still like, well, that's Luke's dad. Maybe we could work something out. We could get some hugging in. Who knows? He chopped off my son's arm. That happens. Arms get chopped off. Family, when it all goes down. But like,
you forgive family. It's okay.
Kylo Ren, we had the moment with him and Han Solo, and he was like, no, it's okay. Just do it. And he's like giving Kylo the in, and guys. Like,
too much, yeah.
Too easy. A bad guy who's actually a bad guy. Like, there's no coming back. Like, I still believe Kylo could be saved. No, I want a bad guy who you're like, nope, that is a horrible monster, must be put down.
Mm-hmm. I'm with you. I want a bad guy who basically just murders people and says nothing. Just like, this is who I am. I'm not going to tell you what I'm doing. I got the Death Star. I'm pressing the button. There's no talking. Just explode.
Does that?
That bad guy.
Dexter does that.
I see. I gotta watch that show now too.
Except for season 3.
To watch. I ain't got time for it. I gotta do MCU stuff first. Skip season 3. All right. So
skip it.
I just
and 5.
Yeah, I was gonna say 5 might be worse than 3, but 4, man, that's the good part of the sandwich right there.
I just think I would be a very good villain. I think I would do a good job acting that role out. So that was mine. In real life, like I feel like I could totally be the guy I was in a football field. That would be my villain persona. So I know I've got that in me. And so I would be like, man, just to be a bad guy who's like, nope, that is a bad dude. We do not want to be around him. Let's leave. And I feel like Star Wars needs that character because it's Kylo Ren. I'm like, you took your shirt off. People made memes and laughed at you. That's not a bad guy. I want a bad guy that people go, nope, I don't want to laugh at him. I want to get away from him.
No respect.
Poor Kylo.
None.
No.
Could have been worse. All right.
Yes.
Well, folks, quick, we'll do some plug-in. Anything you guys are working on, things coming up. Kyle, we'll go with you first because, that's what I've done the entire night.
No, absolutely. So you can listen to our podcast at Board with Video Games. That you can follow us on Twitter there. You can follow me on Twitter at Psychocross. You can also add me on PSN or Xbox Live now. As Psychocross, CYCOCROSS. I would love to play games with you and all of those good things. I even played a little Overwatch tonight, and I did play as Bastion and went 22-0. So
Bastion
Yeah.
mains.
No, I'm not a Bastion man. I haven't played Bastion in like 6 months.
See how quick people are to rebuke that? I'm not a Bastion man.
Absolutely. No, I'm not a man. Look at my hours played.
Here's one time.
Look at my minutes played. It's fine. It's fine.
He's a Diva guy. Diva and Bastion.
No, Diva and Lucio are the ones close to my heart. But that would be funny.
The mech. It's the mech. Goodness. Josh, anything you got going on?
Yeah, I mean, it's at Board with VG. I mean, hit us up. Like Kyle and I, we're in our groove. You guys have the OT, and you guys crush it, and I love listening to it. We got our Board with VG. It's our passion project. As much as we love video games, you can hear us geek out about board games and video games. But I mean, you're mostly gonna hear us geeking out about board games. So Kyle's real great, and he tries to keep it even. I do my best. I do my best to derail it. So if you want to check that out, we got a little yin and yang going on over there. So check us out at Board with VG. Make sure you use that hashtag too. If you're playing board games, I don't care if it's Monopoly.
What if it's HeroClix?
HeroClix. We need picks. We need people on Twitter using hashtag Board with VG. I don't care if you're looking at HeroClix. Take a picture and post it. We need it.
I love me some HeroClix. I'll play that all day if I could. Dev, what you got for us, man?
Whole lot of nothing right now.
Like it. Support it.
Yeah. Playing Diablo 3. Gonna write something about it soon. Other than that, a whole lot of nothing. Just playing the game of life and not the board game.
So my wife and I she's been helping me edit my long piece that I've been working on. We're sitting right around 4,000 words. She's helping with the editing and moving stuff around, and we're adding pictures. I did another interview with another doctor who does research in the field, and it's been going very well. I'm very excited. I think I'm getting close to getting it posted, and then I'm going to post it and never check to see if anybody says anything, because in my mind, I'm just going to post it and say, everyone thinks it's the best thing ever written, and I'm going to walk away because I've put so many hours into it, and I'm sure people are going to read it and go, well, that seems a little trivial. And I'm like, well, you're trivial because I worked really hard. I'm not into research papers, and that's what this became because I wanted all the info. So I'm really proud of it, and it's getting to the home stretch. We'll see where it goes. Video game wise, I just play games. I have the weirdest thing's been happening this month. I've had so many people going, Coach, I'm going to catch you in Achieves. I'm like, I just said on the New Year's Ears episode, I'm done Chief hunting. I'm taking a break. I went 11 for 12 the last year. I dominated. I'm at 100 and almost 80,000. When I started on the Xbox One, I only had 40,000. I've added 130,000 achievements in 3 years. Come on, guys.
One of those people is in this chat right now.
But in fairness, I said that before I knew he said that.
And I just laugh because I'm like, even though people keep saying this, I'm still winning.
Yeah, you are.
Yeah, you are.
If you catch him in Chiefs, you are no longer the Lord of the Isle.
No, what I said is there was going to be 1 month that I was going to put all of my effort into getting more achievements just in that month than Coach Mo.
But he wasn't going to say. He wasn't going to tell Coach what month it was going to be.
I was going to line up all the Telltale games. I was going to make this happen.
That would be, if you really want to do it, I can give you a list, and I can get it for you for probably under $50, and you could knock them out. You would catch me. You'd have me dominated because
you hear that? You're getting a handout from Coach.
So, I will. Okay, and I'll walk you through it, and I'll get it to you. I have no problem. I want people to get Chiefs. I want them to beat games. That's
rare
good.
replay. That's all you have to say. Rare replay.
Actually, no. The one I would say it's
Doritos Crash Course.
No, Beyond Eyes. Have you played that one yet?
Oh no.
That game is beautiful and made me cry. And then there's Pieces of Him, a beautiful game, wonderful game.
Easy Chiefs though.
Easy Chiefs. You can get those. You can get those 2 knocked out in less than an hour.
Jeez.
Okay.
Wow.
But amazing stories. Beyond Eyes story. to this day, going through all of that, like it was a beautiful, beautiful thing. I wish more people played it. Or Never Alone. Amazing story. And Easy Cheese. You knock that one out in a day, if not more or quicker. So, all right. Well, that's Easy Cheese with Coach.
Our new segment.
We're gonna do it this week and forget about it because that's how the OT rolls. So, saying goodbye. Thank you guys so much for listening. We love you as a pieces. If anybody needs to talk, we did have a very serious conversation about loss. If anyone listens to this and you need to talk, you can find me at Coach Hulk. You can find Dev Dat Ninja Dev. You can find
at Dev A Ties.
What is yours at? Oh,
at
Dev A Ties. Yeah. That's what I said, but I didn't pronounce it. You can find these guys through PSVG, and I promise you, we would love to help because at the end of the day, like that's why we do what we do, is we want to share gaming and we want to share this love of stuff, but also we want to help. We want to be there for people. We want to bring some positivity to the internet. And so with that being said, that's game over. Thanks for listening.